The Nintendo Switch is failing. Nothing is selling anymore. Princess Peach Showtime was a bomb. Unicorn Overlord was a bomb. Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble was a bomb. They're all bombs. The Switch is doomed to not sell as much as the PS2, right? It was always doomed to failure, doomed to obscurity. Nobody remembers the Nintendo Switch. Nobody plays this thing. It's done. Nothing major is coming out this year. So says the Pretendo community. Right now, there's a lot of coping and seething in regards to the success of the past 2 years or so of Nintendo Switch software, right? We saw a lot of people like writing off Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder and WarioWare, Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, Pokemon Legends Arceus, right? Famicom Detective Club, right? It's been like a pretty consistent thing for the second half of the Switch's lifespan. Is just denouncing every major Nintendo game that comes out, right? And that has been continuing into 2024, right? Nobody acknowledged that Princess Peach Showtime was a great game, right? Nobody acknowledged Unicorn Overlord. Nobody acknowledged Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. And now we're in the situation where like people are desperately trying to downplay The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, in spite of how popular that game is shaping up to be, right? Echoes of Wisdom is going to be great, and it's going to be one of my most anticipated games this year. So is Brothership, Mario and Luigi Brothership, but they aren't going to be the big sellers. They aren't going to be the game that drives console sales this holiday season. No. People are sleeping on this. People aren't talking about this at all. But the game that's going to move units this holiday season is going to be Super Mario Party Jamboree. Right? Mario Party is going to do gangbusters. I was really surprised when I went out the other day and everybody was talking about Mario Party. Everybody was bringing this up. The new one's coming out soon. I love Superstars, right? I can't wait to see the new boards and the new minigames. I was surprised at just how much enthusiasm there was for Jamboree in general, because I haven't put a lot of time into Superstars. I played Super more than it. So to see so many people be so enthusiastic about Jamboree didn't make a lot of sense to me at first. But as I thought about it, as I really reflected on what happened with Superstars and how that was the most well-received Mario Party game in recent years, it does make a lot of sense. Mario Party is on the way up, right? They put out one of the best-selling games they've ever made, right? Super Mario Party sold 20 million units or something like that, right? They're hugely popular on a popular console. And these games have always done extraordinarily well. So it actually makes sense that so many people are so excited about Jamboree. And the more I think about it, the more I see what's happening on the internet, the internet sphere and stuff like that. Mario Party is going to be one of the best selling Nintendo titles this year. Now, that's the different from saying it's the best, right? Because obviously, sales don't matter, review scores don't matter. Only the actual game matters. And I'm sure that Mario Party isn't going to quite hit the same mark that classic Mario Party games did. I've never seen a Mario Party game live up to the legacy of 2, right? But Jamboree is going to do fairly well for itself. It is going to move a bunch of units. It is going to get a bunch of consoles sold. It is going to be a big deal. So much so that I really wonder just how the Pretendo community is going to write it off, right? Because even Super Mario Party, people don't like admitting just how well that did, right? Again, the fact that these games exist and can do as well as they do on such a minuscule budget, that really does demonstrate, I think, just how much of a better position Nintendo is in than their competitors, right? The fact that they can put out a Mario Party game and sell 20 million units at all is insane. Like, that is incredible. And to see so many people bend over backwards and try to make excuses about it. It's like what they do with Nintendo Switch Sports, where they just go like, oh, this is way worse than what came before. Even if that was true, even if that's like debatable, the game is still very good for what it is, right? People are still enjoying it for what it is. People aren't going to go out and buy like 30-year-old hardware on Nintendo 64. They're not going to get like a Nintendo 64, 4 controllers, and like a bunch of friends to play locally to play like Mario Party 2. Okay, like again, Mario Party 2 is great. Like, it's an all-time classic. But people have moved on. Even if the sequels weren't as good, they were good enough to draw on an audience, keep people invested, and keep people playing. And that is fundamentally all you really need to do for a video game, right? Mario Party is a legitimately good Nintendo IP. It is, honestly, one of the most successful series. It is something that people do everything they possibly can to kind of avoid addressing, but Nintendo essentially has a monopoly on the party game thing, right? You know, all the attempts at subverting and destroying them in this regard, you know, with stuff like Crash Bash and like the Sonic one and whatever else. Like, all of them fall short of what Nintendo does with every single iteration of this franchise. And I do think Nintendo's reach in this regard is expanding, right? It's not just party games anymore. It's not just 2D platformers, right? They are excelling so much in so many different genres that it is going to be completely impossible to write them off going forward. I just saw like some gameplay of Baldur's Gate 3, and it kind of struck me just like, wow, Fire Emblem is a better version of this with better combat, better characters, better visuals, right? A better story, right? Like, and that's just one Nintendo franchise, right? Like, wow. How many other Nintendo RPG franchises out there that exist that like far outstrip Baldur's Gate 3, the most like AstroTurf game in existence, right? Like, again, I always bring up how Zelda is better than like Elden Ding-a-ling, right? But again, Zelda's not the only franchise that stomps that out. And these are the only games that anybody gets enthusiastic about at all, right? I said this before, but like, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out. It is going to be hugely successful. It is going to be popular. It is going to be worshipped, right? But it's not going to be able to compete with Pokemon. It's not going to be able to compete with Mario Party because Nintendo is able to put out games on a budget, put out games in more than one super successful series of games. They're able to innovate. They're able to do different things. They're able to experiment. They're able to evolve, right? To innovate, we used to say back in the Wii era. They innovate. And meanwhile, like, Grand Theft Auto is just the same thing again, but worse every single time. And I don't think they can do this the way they used to without, like, people starting to notice that, like, Nintendo games are more fun than this, right? And I have noticed this when it comes to younger people is that like they aren't bamboozled by like graphics and high production values like people in like millennial generation were, right? They actually play games for the gameplay. They're actually playing Mario 64. They're actually playing Super Nintendo Classics, and as a result of that, they have a more well-rounded, nuanced views of what makes a good game, right? They are better than the generation that came before them. And because of that, they are going to like lean more towards Nintendo consoles. They're going to play Nintendo games more and more, and like all the excuses that people used to lobby at Nintendo games, not to support them, like they are going to fall by the wayside. Like, I can't imagine 10 years from now you're going to see people like throw out allegations of like, oh, you can't play Mario because that's kiddie. Like, again, it's kind of sad now seeing people like try and do that thing with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, like, oh, nobody is talking about it. Yeah, because you're not a gamer. You don't play the games. You don't know anything about the games. You don't know anyone who plays the games. And in that situation, why in the world would anybody talk about the biggest game of 2023 with you?